Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am filming a dual review on the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism Palette and their new Sugar Glow Kit. I also will be comparing the Prism Palette to their sister palettes, which is the Modern Renaissance and the Subculture Palette. I do have a review up for the Subculture Palette. Spoiler alert, I do like that palette quite a bit. And if you want to check that one out, I will throw it up in the cards. I think it's here. I will throw it up in the cards. And I will also be inserting swatches of both of the palettes and leaving a timestamp below of where those swatches are. Anyways, you guys know I'm not one for long intros, so let's just get into the video. So I'm going to start off with the glow kit because I feel like it's the shorter end of the review. This is my first 4-pan glow kit that I own from Anastasia. I do own the Moonchild glow kit, but I don't feel like these are very comparable whatsoever. The Moonchild glow kit is a lot more, in my opinion, less pigmented, and you definitely need to build those up on the cheeks, at least if you have some sort of my skin tone, especially the purple horseshoe color. That's something that I really have to build up, but they're still a beautiful formula, and I love wearing those when I want a little bit more impact. My favorite shades in this palette have to be Starburst and Marshmallow, which I know that they have in other glow kits. I think they're Sweets glow kit, and I think it was the Gleam glow kit, so the silver packaging. The only one I'm not really in love with is Gumdrop, this one, which is a little bit more duochrome and it's definitely on the darker side, so if I do wear it, I like to layer either Starburst or Marshmallow on top. I do want to insert some swatches real quick, so I'm just going to take on my 4 fingers. I have Marshmallow, Gumdrop, Butterscotch, and Starburst. Definitely when you're swatching these, you can feel, so this one's Marshmallow, Gumdrop, Butterscotch, and Starburst. I'm really bad at swatching when I'm not looking at my hand. I'm a terrible swatcher, let's just move on. But anyways, I do really love this palette. It's something I'm really glad that I ended up picking up. I actually picked it up at a opening of a brand new Sephora on Friday, which was really cool. And the lady wasn't even sure she was allowed to give it to me because it was in the back, but I'm really glad that I asked for it. I think for $40 is actually a really, really good deal, especially for me because I'm able to wear at least 3 out of the 4 shades. Gumdrop's a little dark and Butterscotch is a little bit dark, but it's still something that is manageable on my skin tone. So if you're much lighter than me, which is kind of hard, you might not like Butterscotch as much, but especially when you blend it out, it's definitely more subtle and a lot more easy to work, especially if you layer Marshmallow or Starburst on top. If you have a darker complexion, I honestly don't think that many of these will show up on you. The only one that might work is Gumdrop, but that is definitely a duochrome, very pinky, very, very interesting, not everyday shade, to be very frank. It's not something that I would wear every day. But at that point, if you're paying $40 to get one shade of the palette to work for you, I don't feel like this would be a very good deal. For me, I'm very happy that I picked it up. Even if I only were to wear Marshmallow and Starburst, it's still 2 highlights for $40, so that's about $20 per highlight, which is pretty good. That's cheaper than most high-end, a little bit more expensive than most drugstore. I think this is also a wonderful gift if you have a makeup lover in your life and you're curious about whether to get that for them. I think that if they are light to medium skin tone, this would be great for them. Anything deeper, I'd say if you're familiar with someone like Desi Perkins, if you're any darker than Desi Perkins or like Jennifer Lopez or something like that, I would say that I wouldn't go ahead and buy this palette for yourself, or if you have a girlfriend that's a similar complexion, I wouldn't do that. Definitely someone like me who's an NC 15 to maybe an NC 30 in MAC would be a good match for something like this. I do have a different highlight on right now. So right now I'm wearing the Casey Holmes and Smashbox Spotlight palette in Pearl, but I am going to go ahead and swatch Marshmallow and Starburst for you guys. So this is going to be Marshmallow. I'm not sure if this is going to help you. My dad's like leaf blowing outside. I'm so sorry, but I'm not sure if this is actually going to help you determine. But these are pretty impactful highlights, but I feel like they're definitely blendable, so you can get a very metallic, blinding in your face highlight, or you can blend it out to something a little bit more subtle. Marshmallow has a bit of a duochromeness to it. It is a definitely white-based gold, so it has a lot of white in it, but it definitely pulls a lot more yellow, while Starburst is very pinky and has definitely a white base to it as well, but it has a much more cool-toned effect on the cheek. So now I have like weird cheek highlights. But these highlights are very finely milled, definitely beautiful. I applied the highlights with the Wet n Wild highlighting brush. This is a unicorn highlighting brush, which is like $4.99. I think it's actually very similar to the Anastasia A23 brush, which is their highlighting brush. But I definitely recommend this. I think the formula is extremely finely milled. It's very blendable, very buildable as well. And I believe it is limited edition, so if you want it, I'd pick it up as soon as you can. Now on to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism Palette. I'll just go ahead and show you guys the inside right now. It does come with a dual-sided brush, which is standard for all of their other palettes, and it is $42 for 14 shades, again, like their other two palettes, the Modern Renaissance and Subculture palette. The thing that is being said most about this palette is that it's very similar to the Subculture palette, which I definitely disagree. So these are the two side by side. I definitely don't think that they're similar at all. Any similar shades I will swatch next to each other when I film my swatches in a moment. There are a few similar shades such as Eden and Roxy. Eden is in the Prism palette and Roxy is in the Subculture palette. There's also similarity between Unity in the Prism palette and Dawn in the Subculture palette. But other than that, any other similarities, there's differences in the finishes in the shades. So there are a few teals in both palettes, but in Subculture they are matte, and in the Prism palette they are shimmers. So I'm going to go ahead and insert swatches in a picture next to me. Moving from top to bottom is Lucid, Eden, Unity, Sphinx, Osiris, Sphere, Obsidian, Dimension, which I scraped and I'm very sad about, Parallel, Pyramid, Throne, Saturn, Eternal, and Lore. I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture of the comparison swatches from Prism to Subculture. So from left to right, on the left side of each comparison will be the Prism shade and the right side will be the Subculture shade. Starting from the left, you have Eden from Prism and Roxy from Subculture. You have Unity from Prism and Dawn from Subculture. Parallel from Prism and Fudge from Subculture. And then these are three different shades that I'm comparing, which is Sphinx and Eternal from Prism and Adorn from Subculture. Throne from Prism and Axis from Subculture. And then Saturn from Prism and New Wave from Subculture. The one thing that I do say about Prism is that it is much more easier to use and much more beginner friendly than Subculture. What I did say in my Subculture palette review is that it is not beginner friendly at all. You do have to spend more time with it, but the result that you get out of it is wonderful and definitely worth the extra work. If you do want to see a demo with me using the Prism shadows, I did just post a chit chat get ready with me the other day, which I will throw up in the cards as well if I remember. Today I used Unity as a transition shade as well as Lore in my crease. I used Parallel to darken up my outer corner and also Obsidian to darken it out as well. I also used Prism on my lid with just my finger to get the most impact, and I used Sphere on the inner part of my inner corner, which I'm not sure. How long has that eyeshadow been on my face? Guys. Oh no. Anyways, I did use Sphere on the inner corner of my eyes just for a little bit of a editorial impact. Definitely happy with the purchase that I've made. I think that the formula is definitely a lot more similar to the Modern Renaissance, which is a majority matte palette. I do think that the mattes are definitely formulated similar to this palette instead of the Subculture. I do think that the metallics in the Prism palette are a lot more high impact than the Modern Renaissance and are similar to what Adorn is in the Subculture palette. The only shade I have an issue with in this entire palette would be Lucid. Osiris is a little bit harder to work with, and I do think that you need to foil it, but Lucid definitely is harder to work with. I've tried using my finger, I've tried foiling it, I've tried using a brush, but it's just hard to get like full impact. You can see you can pick it up, but when you try and apply it on the eye, it's kind of difficult. You will see in the swatches that it is a kind of duochrome gold, but it looks kind of weirdly greeny in the palette, which my lighting isn't going to allow me to pick it up on, but it doesn't look gold in the palette. To refrain from allowing myself to ramble any further, I'm just going to end the review here and just say that I definitely recommend both the Sugar Glow Kit and the Prism palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Both of these are limited edition palettes, and you can pick it up on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website, on Sephora.com, Ulta.com, or in stores at Sephora and Ulta and Macy's, I believe. I'm not sure how long these will be in stock, so if you like it, I'd pick it up as soon as possible. If you're on a toss-up between the Prism palette and Subculture or something like that, pick up the Prism first, decide if you like it, and if you don't, you can return it, but I wouldn't want to be too late on getting the Prism. But anyways, guys, that is my verdict on the Prism palette and Sugar Glow Kit from Anastasia. If you like me or you like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.